You say you want to change, but you can't even change your Netflix password without checking with your ex. You say you're ready to grow, but your entire identity is built around proving your high school teacher wrong. And now you think a productivity hack will fix your life? No, you don't need a new planner. You need to shut up, sit down, and confront this brutal truth. You are exactly where your habits have led you. The question is, do you have the guts to break them? Stephen R. Covey wasn't some grind guru with a fancy mic and a TikTok reel. He was a professor, leadership authority, and father of 9 kids who didn't just talk about effectiveness, he lived it. When Covey published this book in 1989, he wasn't chasing clout. He was dragging America out of its toxic obsession with fake smiles and hustle porn. This book, it didn't just shake hands with success culture, it punched it in the face and handed us something real. Principle-based living. Not tricks, not hacks, not shortcuts, but character. And before we go any further, disclaimer. This breakdown falls under the Fair Use Act, intended for educational and transformative purposes. This isn't a replacement for reading the book. It's a call out. And if this video does its job, you'll want to buy the damn book and read every page like your future depends on it, because it probably does. Now, before Covey ever wrote a word, he spent decades studying success literature, over 200 years of it, and what he found was this. Somewhere along the way, we traded character for charisma, principles for popularity, integrity for influence, and it ruined us. Covey's thesis? Simple. If you want to be effective, truly effective, it starts from the inside out, not the other way around. You don't get rich and then become confident. You become confident, consistent, and grounded, and then the results follow. So if you're waiting for someone to hand you a morning routine that will save your soul, let me spoil the ending. There's no shortcut to becoming the kind of person who gets shit done. You have to build it, one habit at a time, and that's where the 7 habits come in. Welcome to Mindful Reads Hub. Let's get started. Inside Out, the shift that changes everything. You ever try to fix your life by changing your schedule? You rearrange your week, color code your planner, throw in some breathy affirmations, but deep down, you know it's a scam. You don't need a new planner, you need a new lens. Because until you stop seeing the world as the problem, you will remain the problem. The average person walks through life like a leaf in the wind, constantly pointing fingers. My boss doesn't get it. My partner doesn't support me. My kids stress me out. No, what's really happening is you've built a worldview where you're always reacting instead of creating. You've built an identity around being acted upon, and then you wonder why you feel powerless. Stephen Covey wasn't handing out 7 life hacks. He was giving you a wake-up call wrapped in principles older than your country. And here's the truth that most people refuse to choke down. The way you see is more important than what you see. Your paradigm, that invisible script inside your skull, shapes everything you do. You don't have time management issues. You have priority delusion. You don't have communication issues. You have ego. You don't have a discipline problem. You have a directionless life. Covey starts here, not with actions, not with motivation, but with paradigms. And it makes people uncomfortable because it demands that you stop blaming your job, your childhood, your trauma, your ex, your schedule, your genetics, and your horoscope. None of those things are in the way. You are in the way. Here's what most people don't understand. The real shift isn't external, it's perceptual. You've been living by the personality ethic, which is society's way of slapping a fresh coat of charisma on a rotting foundation. It's image over integrity, charm over character, quick fixes over actual transformation. Want proof? Go look at the last 5 books you bought. Were they principle-based or popularity-based? Exactly. Covey goes back further, 200 years deep, and says, look, real growth used to be about character. Courage, patience, humility, fidelity, stuff that hurts, stuff that's inconvenient, stuff that doesn't trend. Today we're addicted to surface level hacks. 10 ways to win friends. Fake it till you make it. Just smile more. You're out here trying to manipulate your way into a fulfilling life, and it's not working, is it? Let me say this clearly. You cannot fix a character problem with a personality solution. The entire world is trying to change behavior without changing the beliefs underneath it. You don't need better behavior, you need a funeral for your excuses, for your ego, for the outdated map you've been following that says hard work equals results, even though you've been grinding yourself into oblivion with nothing to show for it but burnout and a LinkedIn post. Covey gives the metaphor of a map. You're trying to navigate Chicago with a map of Detroit and wondering why nothing's working. You can hustle harder, get up earlier, think more positively, but if you've got the wrong map, you're just getting lost faster. The map is your mindset, your programming, and if it's flawed, you're doomed until you update it. And here's what most people never hear. You don't need to get better, you need to start seeing better. There's a reason people can read all the right books, attend all the right seminars, and still be walking disasters. It's not that they didn't understand the information, it's that they never adjusted the lens through which they filtered it. If your paradigm is broken, every input becomes trash. One of Covey's most famous stories is about a father on a subway whose kids were running wild. Everyone around him was judging him for being a lazy parent, but then he explains, "We just left the hospital. Their mother just died." Boom, paradigm shift. Suddenly what seemed like irresponsibility turns into heartbreak. Judgment turns into compassion. Your entire mental model of the situation explodes, and with it, your behavior instantly changes. This is the power of perception. The second you stop assuming you're seeing the world clearly is the second you start seeing it at all. So when Covey says inside out, what he means is that real change doesn't start by fixing your circumstances. It starts by fixing your damn character, your worldview, your internal software. Until you change what's inside, you will never change what's outside. You can't skip this. You can't bypass it with a better app, a nicer gym, or a new girlfriend. This is the price of real freedom, and it's non-refundable. You know why so many people fail to change? Because they think they can shift their life while staying the same person. But you can't build a new future with old bricks. You need to become different. Not look different, not sound different, actually different. And here's the kicker, you already know what needs to change. You just haven't decided to stop negotiating with your mediocrity. This is the foundational punch to the throat Covey delivers before introducing a single habit. Because until you own your lens, your habits are meaningless. They're just surface paint on a collapsing foundation. Every single thing that follows in the book depends on you accepting this one brutal truth. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a victim of your mindset. And the second you shift from reaction to intention, from environment to ethos, everything else becomes possible. Key takeaway, you can't control the world, but you can control the lens you use to interpret it. And when you take responsibility for that lens, you reclaim your power. Change starts not with motivation, but with paradigm. Favorite quote, "We see the world not as it is, but as we are, or as we are conditioned to see it." Become the author of your life. If you sat through the last section and thought, wow, that really made me think, you're missing the point. This isn't about thinking, it's about flipping the switch from spectator to creator. Because until you stop waiting for permission and start owning your damn life, everything will keep happening to you. Not because of you. Let's get into it. You're not tired. You're underlived. You're not lost. You're undirected. The reason most people feel empty isn't because life is meaningless. It's because they've outsourced their meaning to other people, their boss, their parents, their Instagram followers. But guess what? If you're not the one writing the script, don't be surprised when the plot sucks. Covey's message here is a slap you've needed since high school. Stop reacting and start creating. That's not motivation speak. That's biological truth. He calls it being proactive, but what it really means is this. You are not your feelings. You are not your mood. You are not your past. You are the space between what happens and how you respond, and your power lives inside that space. You know how people love saying, "That's just how I am"? Bullshit. That's just how you've been trained. That's your programming, not your identity. Covey makes it crystal clear. You can choose to be the kind of person who doesn't flinch when life punches you in the mouth. You don't have to be governed by how your day started, what your parents said to you, or how someone treated you on the freeway. You get to respond, not react. But here's the kicker. Most people don't want that power. Why? Because if you admit you're in control, then you have to admit that your mess is your fault. And for most people, playing victim is easier than taking the wheel. So they build a life on blame, hoping that one day something external will come along and fix their internal chaos. It won't. Covey drops this gem about your circle of concern versus your circle of influence. Translation: you waste your life worrying about crap you can't control while ignoring the one thing you can, yourself, your attitude, your response, your direction. You're stressed about the government, your ex, the weather, your boss, your friend's dog's gluten allergy. But have you even scheduled your own goals? Do you even know what your actual priorities are? Of course not. You're too busy binging anxiety disguised as awareness. And if that part hit a little too close to home, good. Because now we move from the punch to the process. Begin with the end in mind. This is where Covey goes full architect mode and demands that you stop living like a wandering tourist in your own life. He says, write your eulogy, literally. What do you want people to say about you when you die? That you posted some cool travel pics? That you worked 80-hour weeks and finally got that mid-sized promotion? That you had a dope sneaker collection? Or that you meant something? That your life mattered? If you can't define your destination, your decisions are pointless. You can't live on autopilot and expect to land somewhere extraordinary. But that's what most people are doing, treating life like a buffet where they just keep piling crap on their plate because it's there. No theme, no purpose, no design, just chaos dressed in comfort. Covey introduces the idea of a personal mission statement, not a New Year's resolution, not a vision board. A mission, something that governs your actions when motivation dies and no one's watching. You're not just reacting anymore, you're engineering. Like a builder sketches blueprints before pouring concrete, you've got to construct your future on paper before you try to live it. And here's the harsh truth nobody likes to say out loud. If you don't write your own mission, someone else will. Your employer, your culture, your fear, your family's expectations, your own laziness, all of them are ready to hand you a script. And if you're not intentional, you'll wake up in 40 years wondering how the hell you ended up in a life you never actually chose. Covey backs it all with a laser-focused principle. All things are created twice, first mentally, then physically. If you can't see it clearly in your mind, it will never show up in your world. And if you're not designing the first creation, you're living someone else's secondhand leftovers. You want ownership? You better pick up the damn pen and start drawing the blueprints. And don't even get me started on values. Most people say they value family, value health, value purpose, and then live like caffeine-addicted zombies stuck in traffic 5 days a week with nothing to show for it but a Spotify receipt and eye bags. Covey doesn't let you off that easy. He demands alignment. Your goals, actions, calendar, relationships, all of it must flow from that mission statement. Otherwise, it's all noise. This isn't self-help fluff. This is identity rehab. This is the uncomfortable truth that the reason you don't trust yourself anymore is because you keep betraying your own values. But here's the good news. You can stop. Right now, you can sit down, clarify your mission, start responding with intention, and become the kind of person who creates their future instead of surviving their present. But that means no more, just one more episode. No more, it's not the right time. No more, maybe next year. That's all victim vocabulary. You want ownership? You want direction? Then act like the CEO of your own life. Make the decisions no one's applauding you for. Choose discomfort over distraction. Take responsibility, not as punishment, but as power. Because that's the point. You are not the product of your environment. You are the product of your decisions. And if you want a better outcome, you don't need a new job, a new partner, or a new city. You need a new operating system, built from values, directed by vision, fueled by action. That's the shift from being a passive participant in your own life to the damn author of it. Key takeaway, you don't find your purpose. You build it, choice by choice, value by value, action by action. You are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. Favorite quote, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Execute what actually matters. You've recalibrated your lens. You've picked up the pen and started authoring your life. But now we get to the hard part. The dirty, boring, unglamorous execution that separates the talkers from the builders. Because dreaming is free. Vision boards don't cost a thing. But living aligned with your values, that takes discipline. And most people would rather drown in distractions than sit with what actually matters. Here's the brutal truth. You're probably addicted to urgency. Not importance, urgency. You get high on checking boxes, replying to emails, circling back on nonsense that doesn't push your mission forward an inch. Because deep down, you'd rather feel busy than feel uncomfortable. And doing what truly matters? That's almost always uncomfortable. Covey drags us face first into this truth. Effectiveness isn't about how much you get done. It's about whether what you're doing even matters. He introduces the time management matrix. And if you're hearing that for the first time, it's basically the death certificate for your to-do list. You've got 4 quadrants: important versus not important, urgent versus not urgent. And guess where greatness lives? Not in the quadrant where fires are burning and texts are dinging. Not in the one where you're doom scrolling or micromanaging someone else's project. Quadrant 2, the not urgent but important, is where the magic happens. But here's the tragedy. Most people never live there. Why? Because it doesn't scream. It doesn't pop up as a notification. It doesn't give you the dopamine hit of busy. It's quiet. It's foundational. It's stuff like long-term planning, relationship building, self-reflection, health. It's the stuff that makes everything else easier, but only if you make time for it before life throws a grenade in your calendar. You want to know the real reason your life feels like it's on fire half the time? Because you keep ignoring the silent whispers of Quadrant 2 until they become full-blown, screaming emergencies in Quadrant 1. You're reacting to crises you could have prevented 6 months ago, if you had the guts to slow down and focus. Covey isn't impressed by people who juggle well. He's not here to help you manage your chaos. He's here to help you eliminate it, to live intentionally, to prioritize with conviction. Because if you say health matters, but you haven't moved your body in 3 weeks, that's not a priority. That's a fantasy. If you say your relationship matters, but your calendar is full of meetings and 0 date nights, you're lying to yourself. And here's where Covey does something genius. He doesn't just tell you to manage your time better, he tells you to manage your life through the lens of roles and goals. That's right, not tasks, not a 100-item checklist, roles and goals. Who are you in your life? Parent, friend, leader, creator, student, and what are your goals inside those identities? If you're not planning from those priorities, you're living someone else's agenda. This is what Covey calls organizing your week with integrity. He doesn't want you to time block like a productivity robot. He wants you to build your schedule like a cathedral, deliberately, spiritually, structurally. Because if you don't design your week around your values, the world will happily design it around theirs. And if that sounds hard, good. It's supposed to be. Discipline is supposed to cost you. Growth is supposed to hurt. That's how you know it's real. But it's also how you earn peace. Because there's no peace like the kind that comes from doing what matters, on purpose, consistently. Now let's go even deeper. Covey gives us an inside look, a Quadrant 2 day at the office. This isn't some hypothetical, it's the play-by-play of what effectiveness actually looks like when you build your day around what matters. And guess what? It's not sexy, it's not thrilling, it's not filled with dopamine hits or motivational montages. It's slow, quiet, intentional. It's choosing to connect with people instead of just managing them. It's prioritizing development over delegation, long-term impact over short-term fire drills. The point isn't perfection, it's presence. It's showing up like your future depends on it, because it does. It's realizing that urgent is almost never important, and important is almost never urgent. And if you can master that distinction, you win. Here's the irony. You think you're drowning because life is too fast, but the truth is, you're drowning because your focus is too scattered. You're moving without direction, reacting without reflection, doing without deciding, and that's exactly how effectiveness dies, not in a blaze of failure, but in 1,000 tiny, forgettable tasks that slowly eat your soul while making you feel productive. So what do? You stop, you look at your week, you identify your roles, you define your goals, you block off sacred time for the things that whisper instead of scream. You defend it like your life depends on it, because it does. You say no to what doesn't fit, even when it makes people uncomfortable, and then you show up with clarity again and again until your life looks like your values, not your fears. This is the difference between living accidentally and living on purpose. This is what separates the effective from the exhausted. Not talent, not luck, just brutal clarity about what matters. And a spine to follow through. Key takeaway. Effectiveness isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. The urgent will always shout, the important will always whisper. Learn to recognize the whisper and build your life around it. Favorite quote, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Relationships that multiply, not drain. You want a better life? Build better relationships. Not better networking tactics, not more contacts on your LinkedIn profile, not more meaningless small talk over fake smile coffee meetings. I mean real, powerful, mutually fulfilling relationships that don't drain your soul. But here's the thing, nobody wants to admit. Most people suck at relationships because they treat them like a transaction instead of a transformation. Stephen Covey knew this long before the rest of us were arguing on Twitter about emotional labor and ghosting etiquette. He called it interdependence, and if that word sounds boring to you, good. It should, because what he's about to serve is unsexy truth. The kind that hits you like a freight train when you realize you've been sabotaging your own life by pretending that success is a solo sport. It isn't. And if your grind set requires you to step on people to climb, don't be surprised when you reach the top alone and still empty. Here's the gut punch. Most of your relationships suck because you've built them on the false belief that in order for you to win, someone else has to lose. Covey calls it the scarcity mentality, the delusion that life is a pie and if someone else gets a bigger slice, you're stuck with crumbs. That belief isn't just toxic, it's the breeding ground of jealousy, competition, resentment, and manipulation. And until you rip it out of your system, you'll continue to attract and create relationships that leave you drained, bitter, and full of excuses. Now flip the script. Imagine approaching life like it's not a pie, but a bakery. You can make more together. That's the abundance mentality. That's win-win. That's where relationships go from transactions to transformation. But don't get it twisted. Win-win isn't some weak kumbaya compromise where everyone holds hands and ignores conflict. That's win-lose dressed in sheep's clothing. Win-win is courage plus consideration. It's strong backbone, soft heart. It's I care about you, but I won't betray myself. Most people can't do that because they've never learned how to be assertive without being aggressive or kind without being a pushover. Covey breaks it down further. For win-win to work, you need three things: character, relationships, and agreements. Character is where it all starts. If you don't know who you are or what you stand for, you'll fold at the first sign of conflict. That's why insecure people either dominate or submit. They don't know how to stand side by side. Then come relationships, not superficial ones built on fake politeness, but real trust. And finally, agreements. Not vague expectations, but crystal clear commitments built on mutual understanding. Now here's where the book punches you again. Trust is the foundation. And guess what? You're probably overdrafting that account. Covey compares trust to an emotional bank account. Every time you keep a promise, listen with empathy, or show up with integrity, you make a deposit. Every time you lie, flake, manipulate, or prioritize yourself at someone else's expense, you make a withdrawal. And most of you, you're in emotional debt with your partner, your friends, your co-workers, even your damn self. You keep trying to fix relationships with gifts and words when what they really need is consistency and accountability. So what's the real move here? Stop trying to win arguments and start trying to understand the other person. Stop keeping score and start keeping promises. If someone disagrees with you, don't just plan your comeback. Try actually listening to what they're saying. Win-win isn't about always agreeing. It's about building something together that neither of you could have done alone. And that starts by dropping your ego long enough to recognize that someone else's needs aren't a threat to your value. Covey reminds us that people are not things to be controlled or fixed. They're not systems to be optimized or obstacles to be maneuvered around. They're complex, beautiful, annoying, brilliant, emotional universes. And if you want deep, rich, sustaining relationships, you better start acting like it. And here's a final slap from reality. If your relationships are full of drama, power plays, silence, or passive aggression, you're not just unlucky. You're either attracting chaos or enabling it. Either way, you're complicit. Want peace? Stop settling for win-lose, or worse, lose-win. Step up, show up, communicate clearly, care deeply, and refuse to settle for relationships that require you to shrink. This is the new paradigm. This is what effectiveness looks like when it grows up. Not isolation, not domination, but multiplication. You and me, better together, or nothing at all. Key takeaway. The best relationships aren't built on compromise. They're built on shared victory, mutual respect, courageous honesty, abundant belief that together we create more than we ever could alone. Favorite quote, abundance mentality flows out of a deep inner sense of personal worth and security. Listen like your life depends on it. You think you're a good communicator because you know how to talk? That's cute. Let me guess. You get your point across, you speak your truth, and you don't let anyone talk over you. Congrats. You just described every mediocre narcissist on social media. What you don't do is listen. Not really. You don't listen to understand, you listen to respond, to win, to dominate, and that's why your relationships feel like emotional chess games instead of actual connection. Stephen Covey didn't just call this out, he dismantled the whole illusion that people think they're connecting when all they're doing is projecting. See, most of us go into conversations like lawyers preparing for cross-examination, not like humans seeking understanding. We're mentally loading our rebuttals before the other person even finishes a sentence, and then we wonder why people shut down or push back or ghost us. It's because they know you're not actually listening to them. You're just waiting for your turn to talk. Covey calls the real game, seek first to understand, then to be understood. But that requires something most people haven't developed, empathy. Not the fake I feel you empathy you use in Zoom calls before you slam someone with a counterpoint. I'm talking real, raw, ego-crushing empathy. The kind that demands you shut up, drop your agenda, and enter someone else's world without trying to remodel it. And let's get one thing straight. Empathy is not agreement. Understanding someone doesn't mean endorsing their worldview. It means respecting their humanity enough to not treat their emotions like an inconvenience. Because here's the truth. People don't want advice, they want acknowledgement. And the second they feel heard, truly heard, they become infinitely more open to hearing you. But no, you'd rather interrupt. You'd rather insert yourself into their sentence. You'd rather play therapist without a license, throwing advice like darts at someone's pain just so you can feel useful. Newsflash, fixing isn't listening. Solving isn't connecting. People aren't broken math problems. They're layered, complex, insecure, hopeful, hurting humans. And if you can't sit with that, you're not ready to lead anyone. Covey digs even deeper into what he calls empathetic listening. It's not about parroting back someone's words or faking interest while planning your grocery list. It's about feeling what they feel, hearing their fears underneath their frustration, recognizing the insecurity hiding behind their anger. And the only way you get there is by dropping your damn ego and getting curious. Want a real challenge? Next time you're in a conversation, instead of thinking about what you're going to say next, ask yourself this. What pain is this person hiding that they don't know how to name? That's the level of attention Covey's talking about. That's where influence is born. Not from status, not from debate, but from radical presence. Now let's flip it. Once you've truly understood the other person, you finally earn the right to be understood yourself. But now, your message hits different. Because it's not coming from a place of defense, it's coming from alignment. You've built a bridge, not a wall, and on that bridge your truth lands softer, deeper, and with more respect. And before you assume this only applies to therapy sessions or marriages, let me stop you right there. This is leadership. This is sales. This is parenting. This is every human interaction that actually matters. Because people don't follow the loudest voice in the room. They follow the one that made them feel seen. Covey even breaks down the hierarchy of listening. At the bottom, you've got ignoring. Straight up, I'm not even pretending to care. Then there's pretending to listen. Yep, sure, while scrolling Instagram. Then comes selective listening, cherry picking what you want to hear. And finally, attentive listening. Better, but still about you making sense of them through your own lens. But the top, empathetic listening, where you suspend your filter and enter their experience. You want connection, you want influence, you want to stop repeating the same arguments over and over, then kill the monologue and learn to co-author a dialogue. That's the key. Not louder voices, not smarter arguments, not longer paragraphs, just deeper listening. The irony is, most people are starving for this, to be heard, understood, validated, but refuse to offer it. Everyone's in the screaming match, wondering why no one's listening. Covey hands you the exit ramp. Shut your mouth, open your ears, and watch what happens when you stop trying to be right and start trying to be real. Key takeaway. Connection is not built by who speaks best. It's built by who listens deepest. You don't influence people by outsmarting them. You influence them by understanding them better than they understand themselves. Favorite quote: seek first to understand, then to be understood. Create what no one can alone. You think teamwork is just about being nice? About playing fair, not stepping on toes, making sure everyone gets a gold star for showing up? No. That's kindergarten. That's not collaboration. That's collective mediocrity. Real synergy, real next level teamwork. It's a full contact sport. It's messy, loud, creative friction. It's where egos get humbled, ideas get shredded and rebuilt, and nobody walks out the same. And if your version of collaboration feels more like compromise, where everyone waters down their brilliance to keep the peace, then congratulations, you're not collaborating, you're diluting. Stephen Covey drops a truth bomb here that most people never recover from. Synergy isn't about blending in. It's about leveling up. It's not, you bring your half, I bring mine. It's, we create something together that neither of us could do alone. That sounds poetic until you realize how rare that actually is, because most people don't want to do the real work that synergy requires, which is, wait for it, valuing difference. And I don't mean fake diversity where companies hire people of different backgrounds but expect them all to think the same. I mean radical disruptive difference. Difference in mindset, difference in experience, difference in how we attack a problem. Because let's be honest, we all say we want fresh perspectives until someone challenges our precious little worldview. Then we get defensive, dig our heels in, and pretend we're the only ones with clarity. That's not synergy. That's intellectual narcissism with a diversity sticker slapped on it. Covey breaks it down clean. Synergy demands you check your ego at the door. It demands trust. It demands you see people not as obstacles or resources, but as full-on creative partners. It demands you be willing to throw your ideas into the fire and see what emerges on the other side. And the kicker? It demands that you're open to being changed. Most people don't want to collaborate. They want co-signers. They don't want growth. They want agreement. That's why their teams flatline. That's why their projects stall. That's why nothing they build ever soars. Here's the wild part. The most synergistic environments aren't smooth. They're not polite. They're not always efficient, but they are alive. You'll know you're in one when it feels like ideas are bouncing off the walls. People are riffing, debating, disagreeing, building, iterating in real time. It feels like jazz, like improv, like controlled chaos that somehow ends in genius. Covey gives us the structure beneath that chaos. He says, synergy isn't magic. It's the byproduct of intentional habits, deep listening, high trust, a willingness to understand before judging, a commitment to win-win, even if it means grinding through some hard, uncomfortable conversations. Synergy is built, not born. But let's be brutally honest. You won't build synergy with everyone. Some people are just energy vampires in a blazer. Some people don't want growth. They want power. Some people would rather protect their corner than expand the whole room. And that's why choosing your collaborators is just as important as how you collaborate. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, not just cheer for you. People who will say, hey, your idea has holes. Let's fix it together. That's the crew that takes you to the moon. In the final pages, Covey throws one last knockout punch. He reminds us that synergy isn't just a strategy, it's a mindset, a way of approaching every relationship, every challenge, every opportunity with the belief that we are better together, that the friction isn't the problem, it's the fuel, that disagreement isn't division, it's depth, that true collaboration is not soft, it's savage. It carves away fluff and ego until what's left is pure collective genius. So next time you're in a room and everyone agrees with you, ask yourself, am I leading or am I playing it safe? Am I inviting synergy or demanding obedience? Because if the room isn't challenging you, it sure as hell isn't changing you. Key takeaway, synergy isn't compromise, it's collision. It's where real transformation happens, not when everyone agrees, but when everyone dares to show up fully, challenge deeply, and create something greater than any one of us alone. Favorite quote, synergy is better than my way or your way, it's our way. Master the art of renewal. You want to know why you're burnt out, uninspired, running on caffeine and TikTok dopamine? Because you treat yourself like a machine and then get shocked when your soul crashes like an overworked hard drive. You want results, but you disrespect the source, your own mind, body, and spirit. You're stuck in this hustle loop, thinking rest is laziness and self-care is indulgent. Newsflash. Burnout is not a badge of honor, it's a symptom of poor strategy. You can't outgrind bad energy management. Stephen Covey hits this final point with surgical precision. He calls it sharpening the saw. And no, it's not just about bubble baths and journaling. It's the discipline of renewal. It's understanding that you, yes you, are the most important asset in your life. Your tools don't matter if the tool itself, you, is dull. You want results, but refuse to recharge. That's like trying to win Formula 1 with a flat tire and no pit stops. Good luck with that. The problem is, we're all taught to grind. Grind harder, stay busy, hustle like your worth depends on it. Rest becomes guilt, reflection becomes weakness. But Covey says something radical. If you're not actively building capacity, you're eroding it. And the longer you delay restoration, the steeper the recovery cost. You either sharpen yourself consistently, or life will slice you apart, slowly, silently, relentlessly. So what does sharpening the saw actually mean? Covey breaks it into 4 dimensions: physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. Let's break those down in a way your overachieving ego might finally listen to. Physically, you treat your body like a garbage disposal and expect it to perform like an Olympic athlete. You can't run on junk food, sleep deprivation, and energy drinks forever. Eventually, your body sends the invoice through illness, fatigue, or just that numbing sense of blah that you call aging. No, it's not age, it's neglect. Exercise isn't optional. Sleep isn't a luxury. Food isn't filler, it's fuel. Don't sabotage the vessel and then complain it doesn't carry you far. Mentally, your brain is not built to scroll for 7 hours a day and still produce greatness. Reading, reflecting, challenging your own ideas. That's how you sharpen your cognitive edge. But instead, you binge garbage content and expect golden ideas. Come on. Covey's not saying you need to read textbooks every night, but he is saying if you don't intentionally renew your mind, it atrophies. You don't lose intelligence overnight. You abandon it little by little every time you prioritize distraction over discipline, emotionally and socially. This one hits deep. If your relationships drain you more than they fuel you, that's not connection, that's codependency. Renewal means curating your circle, confronting emotional clutter, and actually learning how to communicate like a functional human. And if you're still carrying unprocessed pain into every conversation, stop acting surprised when people walk on eggshells around you. You're the landmine, not them, spiritually. And no, this doesn't mean religion, it means purpose, meaning, alignment. Do you have any clue why you're doing what you're doing? Or are you just checking boxes on a to-do list you didn't even write? When your soul is starved, no amount of success feels like enough. That emptiness you feel, it's not a lack of achievement, it's a lack of alignment. Sharpening your soul is about checking in with your deepest self and making sure your outer grind matches your inner compass. Covey's final message is this: you can't shortcut self-renewal. You can't fake vitality. You can't buy clarity. You earn those things through consistent investment in yourself, daily, purposefully, relentlessly. And if you're still thinking, I don't have time to sharpen the saw, then ask yourself how much time you're wasting swinging a dull one. This isn't self-help fluff. It's strategy. It's sustainability. It's the secret behind every top performer who doesn't just rise, but stays there. They don't grind blindly. They renew wisely, because greatness isn't built in bursts. It's built in the boring, the quiet, the recovery, the repeat. So no, taking care of yourself isn't soft, it's savage, because when the rest of the world is crumbling under burnout and ego and exhaustion, you'll still be here, sharp, clear, and dangerous. Key takeaway: you are the tool. Sharpen yourself daily. You don't have a burnout problem, you have a renewal problem. Fix that, and everything else gets sharper too. Favorite quote: we must never become too busy sawing to take time to sharpen the saw. Conclusion: you don't need more information, you need a transformation. You've just been handed a blueprint that most people will never read, let alone understand. The 7 Habits isn't just a book, it's a demolition crew for your excuses. It's a mirror you're scared to look into, and a battle cry for those who are done being average. Because let's be brutally real, average isn't harmless, it's dangerous. Average is settling, it's stalling, it's dying while looking busy. You scroll through motivational reels thinking, I needed to hear that. No, you didn't need to hear it. You needed to do something with it. If you're still here, that means you're ready to drop the act, burn the fake hustle, and actually live deliberately. Covey didn't give you a life hack. He gave you a war manual for the internal war, the one between who you are and who you're supposed to be. And if you're still looking for the shortcut after this, then maybe you weren't ready. Maybe mediocrity is still calling your name a little louder than purpose, and that's fine, but don't pretend you weren't warned. You want your relationships to stop draining you? Then build ones that multiply. You want your schedule to stop suffocating you? Then put first things first. You want to stop reacting like a puppet on a string? Then be proactive and cut the damn strings. This book isn't asking you to change the world. It's daring you to change the one thing you actually control: you. Now here's the final move. Don't just watch this. Don't just nod. Don't just say, this hit different. You know what hits different? Results. Go buy the damn book. Read it slowly. Tear it apart. Rewrite your life with it. Because the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People isn't something you finish. It's something you become. And if you're ready to become that person, not someday, but now, then this isn't the end. It's the beginning. Now go sharpen the saw, write your ending from the start, and stop waiting for someone to give you permission, because you've got the map. Now move like it. Like, subscribe, share, or don't. Just don't come back here next year, still stuck, still blaming, still lost. You know what to do. Now go do it.